All right. So as part of framework, so in the last classes, a few sessions, we have seen how we can create a REST assured framework. And as part of that, we have implemented endpoints and then test cases, payload, utilities, and we have also seen data-driven test. And also we have seen how to generate logs and external reports and so on. And this is one approach. And some people, they will also use something called properties file, where they will keep all the roots, and different ways we can do it, but this is also one of the way we can use it. Instead of writing these roots in one simple class and refer the roots in endpoints, what we can do is we can create another file called properties under resources, and in this we can place all the URLs, and those URLs we can refer inside the user endpoints. So whichever way we want, we can still do it. So now let me show you how we can create a properties file and how we can refer the roots inside our user endpoints. So we don't need to change anything here, only one change. Instead of writing these roots, we will write properties file and we will try to read the URLs into the user endpoints, and rest of the things are exactly the same. So what we'll do is let's go to Eclipse and go to your project. So first of all, let's create a properties file. So where you will create a properties file under resources, SRC test resources. Always the properties file should be part of SRC test resources. So here we need to create. So let me create a property file. So what I can do is we can give any name. So it's not a matter. So you can just give any name, roots.properties, something like this. So I'm creating new file, and here I'll say roots.properties file. So what is properties file? So properties file is just like a normal text file, and we don't follow any syntaxes here. Okay, all Java syntaxes won't work, like double quotation, single quotation, or semicolon. These things won't work. So we can just write plain data in the properties file. So roots.properties, and inside this properties file, we need to write all the URLs. Just a second. Give me a minute, just a second. Okay, so this is a file actually. So this is how we can just specify all the URLs in the properties file. You can just look at here. So how we can specify in the roots.java file. So in the similar way, here also we can specify, but we don't follow any string or any double quotations. So we don't follow any syntaxes here. So let me just copy this. Okay. So these are the URLs. So in exactly the similar way, but in the roots, so we specified some syntaxes. If I just go here and the roots.java, we have followed some syntaxes like public static string, and the strings we need to keep in the double quotations, semicolons. So we follow certain syntaxes, but in the properties file, we don't follow any syntaxes. This is a hash is a comment in the properties file. Hash is a comment. So I have commented this text. So how we have designed the URL, the similar way, we can just copy paste all URLs in the properties file. And the rest of the models also, you can directly paste all the URLs here. So this is the properties file. So once you create this properties file, now these URLs, these are the variables actually. Post URL, get URL, update, delete. So these are the URLs. These are the variables which we have to refer in our endpoints. Okay. So let's try to refer these variables in the endpoints. So what I'll do is, instead of changing this existing user endpoints, because here we are referring URLs from the roots class everywhere, right? So instead of changing this, I'll just try to create another file so that you can have both. So what I will do is, I'll copy another user endpoints file. It's a user endpoints 2. So in this, instead of getting these roots from the class file, we will try to get these URLs from the properties file. Okay. So now we'll see how we can design this endpoint to get the data from the properties file. So for that, we need to write one additional method. Okay. So we will change these values later. So first of all, we need to create one additional method which will load your properties file. So how to write the code for loading your properties file? So in Java, we have a special class called resource bundle. So resource bundle is a special class which we have. So by using that class, we will able to load properties file, and we will able to read the data from the properties file. Okay. So we already created this. Let me just create this method. Get URL. So this is the user defined method I'm creating, get URL. So this method, when I call this get URL method, which will get you the URL from the properties file. So here we have to write the code. So we have a special class called resource. Okay, resource bundle. Okay, this is the class name, and I'll create one variable called roots. Resource bundle roots equal to a resource bundle and dot get bundle. And here we have to specify the name of the properties file. So that is roots.properties file. So location is not required, because this method by default get the properties file from the resources. So it will look for that file in the resources folder by default. So the entire path is not needed. So we can just specify the name of the file. That is roots. The file name is roots. Okay, that's it. Even dot properties extension is also not needed. So you can just specify the statement. So this particular statement will load the properties file. Okay, we'll load the properties file. And what this get bundle will return. So it will also return something called a resource bundle object. So we have to store that in a variable. I'll name it as a roots. And the type of the variable is again same, resource bundle. Right. So we need to import this resource bundle class. Just a second. And this particular package is available in java.util package. Sorry, 1 second. So this resource bundle class is present in java.util package. So we have to import this. So this is a single statement which will get this bundle file and then store into the variable. And finally, what we'll do is we have to return that. Return roots. And now what is the return type here is? Return type is again resource bundle. And make this method as a static so that we will able to directly access this method from the user endpoints too. So this is the implementation. So which will basically read the properties file and return the resource bundle object. So by using this object, resource roots object, we will able to get all the URLs from the properties file. Okay, so this is the additional method created for getting URLs from properties file. Okay, so this is a method we have to create. So now how we can use this method in our scripts. So here previously we have taken this post URL, get URL from the roots. Root is nothing but again, this is the predefined class which we have created. But this time we will get the post URL, get URL, everything from the properties file. So now the roots is representing the properties file. So now what we need to do is we need to slightly change. So in the create user, what we will do is we have to get the URL before starting this code. We have to get the URL first, post URL. So how to get the post URL? First of all, we have to call this method get URL dot. So when I call this method, this will return the roots. So get URL dot, all the roots are present in the string format. If I just go to the properties file, so at the time of reading, we will read everything as a string format. So this is a string format. Everything is string format. So we use one method called get a string, and here we specify the key. Key is nothing but in the properties file, we store the values in the key and value pair. Let's say this is a key, post URL is a key, and this is a value. So if you want to capture this value, we have to specify the key, that is post underscore URL, that you need to specify here. So get URL, we are calling this static method, and which will return the roots. From the roots, we are getting the string. What is the string we are getting? Post URL string we are getting. Okay, so get a string, post URL, that's it. So this will actually return the URL. So that is your post URL. You can store in a variable, and this should be a string format. That's it. So this is a statement which will get the actual URL from the properties file. Now this post URL, we have to pass it here. You can just remove this part and then you can pass it. So this is how we can get the data from the properties file. So first we have to create one additional method called get URL, and which will return all the roots. From all the roots, by using get string method, by passing key, we will able to get the URL into this variable, and this variable we can directly pass in the post request. So same thing will repeat for rest of them. So here create one more statement, get URL dot get string. This time we will get another URL. What is the get URL? So the key is get URL. You can just look at the properties file. Accordingly, we have to say this is a get URL. Now this is also get URL. This is just a variable name, and this variable we will refer here. So this is done. Now similarly, we will do it for other type of request. Update user also. Get URL dot get string of update underscore URL. This is also update URL. Copy this and then post here. And same thing we repeat for delete request. Delete URL. And this delete URL, we will pass it here. Okay, done. So this is how we can read the data from the properties file. And tomorrow, if there are any changes in the URLs, we don't need to modify this script. You can directly go to properties file, and here you can just modify, and that will automatically reflect in all the places. So this is the first change. So we have created one properties file, and for that we have created one additional method which will load your property file and get all the roots in this variable. And from that variable, we are able to, from this variable, we are able to get the URL into variable, and this variable we are passing as part of post get delete and update request. So this is a way we need to read a properties file. Now go to your endpoints. So user endpoints we created. If I go to the test, user test. So previously what we have done here is we have used endpoints, right? So here, if I just look at here, everywhere in the post user request and get user request, we are calling user endpoints class. From the user endpoints, we are calling these methods. But this time we have to call this method from the user endpoints too, because that is a endpoint file which will read the data from the properties file. So what we can do is we will just try to replace all user endpoints classes to endpoints two classes. So that also we need to modify, because we have created a separate file, right? If you already modify the existing file, then you don't need to modify user test. You can directly execute. But we have created a separate file here. So that's the reason even this also we need to modify. So what I'll do is, instead of modifying this, I'll just try to create one more file, user test2. And here we will try to use property file. So here in the user test, we are using roots.java class as usual, right? So here we are using user endpoints, and here user test, we are going to use user endpoints too. So here, just replace this user endpoints to wherever you are referring user endpoints, we can just rename as it to user endpoints to, and rest of the things are exactly the same. So user endpoints to here, 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 and also here, and save it. So we need to import this user endpoints because this is a new class which we created. So we just import this. Okay, done. So everything is done. So now this time we are reading the data from the properties file. So for that, we created a separate endpoint file without disturbing existing one. And we created some additional method, get the roots. And by using this statement, we are able to get the URL from the properties file and pass the same URL in every request. And similarly, without disturbing existing tests, we are creating another user test. So where I will use user endpoints too. Okay, because the class is got changes, right? In this class, we are using properties file to get all the URLs. So this is the only change. So now let us try to execute this user test2. Go to testng.xml. So instead of running this, I can just run user test2, because that is taking the data from the properties file. So I can just, and whichever class you want to run, you can just run it. So now I'm running user test2. Save the file and then execute. And both are correct ways, both are preferable, and that is up to you whichever way we want. Because sometimes if already framework is exist in your company or in your project, if they are following properties file approach, then you have to use property file. Or if you are completely new and newly writing your framework, so that is again your choice. Whichever way you are familiar, you can just use that approach. Okay. So roots is just a variable name I have used. Okay, so don't think the same name you have to use. You can just give any name, no problem. But I'm just giving some relevant name. Okay, so here property file name is roots. And here user endpoints also, I created one new method here, right? So here I'm giving for one variable name is called roots. This is a variable name. And here this is a property file name. Resource bundle dot get bundle and roots. So this roots is the name of the property file actually. So here, this is name of the properties file. But don't confuse by seeing multiple variable names. So this is a property file name, because resource bundle by default will get the property file from the resources. So we no need to specify the complete path here. We no need to specify complete path like SRC, test resources, roots. We no need to specify. By default, this method will fetch for this particular file inside the resources. So we don't need to specify the path. Okay. So this is a way of creating property file and get the URLs from the properties file. And whichever approach you like, you can just use it. No problem. So both are correct. Both approaches are right. Okay. So now let us move on to the next part. And so far, let me just close this. Okay, so this part is completed. So the next part is what? Execution. So in the test.ng or pom.xml, if I run the test cases using test.ng.xml, you can directly run. But if you want to run your test cases remotely or through Jenkins command prompt, then we should able to run through pom.xml. So for that, we need to add some dependencies in the pom.xml. Okay. So let's see how we can add dependencies in the pom.xml. Not dependencies, we need to add something called plugins. So we have to add some plugins in the pom.xml, and then we will able to run our project command prompt through command prompt and remotely by using Jenkins. So now let us see how we can add different plugins in pom.xml. So go to pom.xml. So here we need to add two different dependencies in the pom.xml. Okay, so let me show you what are the dependencies which we need to add. Two different type, not dependencies, plugins. So just like a dependencies tag, we also have something called plugins, and which we can add before dependencies are started. You can just write one tag called plugins, opening tag, and then closing tag, plugins, opening tag and closing tag. So inside this, we have to write all the plugins. So there are two plugins are there, Maven compiler plugin, Maven surefire plugin. So those two plugins which we need to add here, then we will able to run the project through pom.xml. So let me show you how to add. So from where we will get those plugins? You can just type Maven surefire plugin and just go to this link, maven.apache.org. So this plugin is required to run our test through pom.xml. So how to use it? Just go to usage link here. They will give you something inside the project, inside the build, plugin management, inside the plugins. So this is the actual plugin. So copy this plugin and then place it here. This is one plugin, Maven surefire plugin. And there is one more plugin called Maven compiler plugin. Okay, let's search for Maven. Yeah, we need to add that also. Just hold on. So Maven compiler plugin. So usage, go to usage. So here they have given. So this is actual plugin which we need to capture here from here to here. So where we have to keep in these two plugins inside the plugins tag. But again, this plugins tag is a part of your build tag. So you can see here, build plugin management and then plugins. So these two tags also we have to specify before plugins. And this plugin management, we have to close here. And this build also, we need to close here. Okay, let me show you the hierarchy now. In the build plugin management, inside the plugins, this is one plugin and this is another plugin. So this is another plugin, and here this plugins tag is closed here, and this plugin management is closed here, and this build tag is closed here. So this is a hierarchy. Okay, so this way we need to add this is Maven surefire plugin. The other one is Maven compiler plugin. So these are the two additional plugins which we need to add. Now save the file. So here some configuration means we can run our test.ng file from here actually. So we can specify the sources, targets, and so many things. So we can just specify the XML files and so on. So that our pom.xml will able to run the test.ng XML file. So here we can specify something called suit and slash suit, and here we can specify the test.ng name, test.ng XML name, right? So test.ng.xml. That's it. Now save it. So now everything is done. So this is how we can add some plugins additionally in the pom.xml so that we will able to run this XML file through pom.xml. Okay. So once it is done, so now let us try to run the pom.xml this time. So pom.xml will run our XML file, testng.xml file, and testng.xml file will execute our test cases, whatever you mentioned in XML file. So this is the process. Now let's try to execute our pom.xml. Right click, now Maven. Before running, just try to update your project once. So you can just right click on project, go to Maven, update project, force update. Okay. Done. So everything is gone. So now let's try to run pom.xml. Run how to run this pom.xml, because pom.xml is related to Maven. So we have to run this only through Maven. So previously we have run as a test-ng, right? When you run XML file, we have taken this option, run as test-ng suite. But this time we have to use this option, right click, run as Maven test. This is the option we have to use. So let me just run it, Maven test. Okay, so now it is got failed, maybe something wrong we have done. Okay, so what exactly it is saying, failed to execute goal. Just a second. Okay, so failed to execute goal, Apache Maven plugins, Maven compiler plugin. Let's see, look, processing JDK compiler, processing module help. Okay, I think we have not properly specified the version number. 1 second. So some different version is available. So let us try to use same version here. I think that's not a problem. Maybe this suit we have not specified properly. Just a second. Okay, we missed some tag guys here. So inside the configuration, we need to add one more tag. Suit XML files. Okay, so this is the tag, suit XML files. Inside the configuration, suit XML files. And inside this, this tag we have to close. Copy this and space. This is the closing tag. And inside this suit XML files, we need to add suit XML file. Suit XML file, and this is our XML file. And this is also suit XML file. So it is not a suit actually. This is a suit XML files is a tag. So under configuration, we need to add one more tag called suit XML files. Inside this suit XML file, and here only X is uppercase character, rest of them are lowercase characters. And this is our testng.xml file. Okay, now save and update your project once again. And same thing we can specify in the surefire plugin also. So let me just copy the configuration from here. And in the surefire, after specifying the version number, you can just add it here. So in the compilation, we don't need actually. So if we just add this in the surefire, like because this will actually run the testng XML file, but not compiler plugin. So compiler plugin will just compile the code and it will not execute XML file. So I can just try to remove this. It is not mandatorily required here. I can just remove this. Okay, so just place this XML file under surefire plugin. Now save it Update project once again. Okay, so done. Let's try to execute now. So first time when you run this XML file, it will try to download few plugins, and from second time onwards, it will go and execute fine. Okay, so now you can see it is started our test. And if we are using web application like Selenium, so it will show you all the UI, all the flows, but which is API testing. So we can directly send the request. And now you can see finally all the requests are successfully executed, and you will see the build success. Build success means what? All your tests are successfully executed through pom.xml. So that is a concept here. So this is the configuration which we have to do in the pom.xml so that we are able to run our test through pom.xml. So currently how it is going to run now, your XML file, testing XML file, we are basically running through pom.xml, and again, it will also generate the report logs and so on. That is again same thing. So now the pom.xml is a main place from where we will execute everything. Okay. So in the Selenium also, yeah, it is same process. So whenever you are using, it is not Selenium, rest assured, or some other technology. It doesn't matter about the technology. If you are creating Maven project, this is the whole process everywhere. Yeah, same plugins. Okay, because whenever you are created a Maven project, the process is same. It can be Maven framework, or it can be Selenium framework, or rest assured, whatever it is. The process is same. We need to add surefire plugin, compiler plugin, specify the XML file, and this will able to run it. Okay. So with this, we have achieved successfully this part, the whole part. Now we are going to run this pom.xml remotely. So currently we are running our test within your Eclipse locally. But suppose tomorrow I move this project to somewhere else, I don't have an Eclipse. And without Eclipse also, we should able to run our project. So that means what? Our main ultimate goal is what? We are able to run our test in the remote environment. That means through Jenkins, we will able to trigger. So before reaching there, first of all, we have to check our scripts are working without having Eclipse. Without using Eclipse, can we run our scripts through command prompt? So basically, we have to run this pom.xml through command prompt. Okay, so how we can do this? So normally what happens is, in Eclipse, we already have Maven plugin, right? In Eclipse. Let me increase the font. Okay. So in Eclipse, normally what happens is we already have Maven plugin, right? In Eclipse, by default, we will get a Maven plugin. So that's the reason we are able to create your Maven project. That's the reason we are able to update pom.xml. We are able to run pom.xml. So all these things are possible because we already have Maven plugin inside the Eclipse by default. But now we want to run our project outside of the Eclipse. Okay, we want to run our project outside of the Eclipse. So in that case, the plugin which is available in Eclipse is not useful. Okay, the Maven plugin which is already there in our Eclipse will not be useful for us. So now what we need to do, we have to install Maven at the OS level. That means if you are working on Mac or Windows, we have to download the Maven software and we have to install it. Okay, so Maven is available in the two different flavors. One is as a Eclipse plugin. The other one is as a software. In the operating system level, we have to install one Maven software, and then only you will able to run pom.xml in your command prompt and Jenkins and so on. So now what we have to do is we have to just minimize your Eclipse, and then we should install Maven, right? We have to install Maven on Windows. It is same process in Mac also. So you can just go to this. So how to install Maven on Windows? So if you want to install Maven on Windows, we have to first download the software. Just a second. So why we have to run test cases outside? You have to know what is CA and CD process. Then you will know why we have to run. Okay, just hold on for a few minutes. I will tell you. So we are going step by step. Okay, so just hold on. Still, I am not come to that part. Okay, so we have to first download Maven. So go to Apache, download Apache Maven. So here you can find something called zip file or gz file. If you're working on Mac, so you have to get gz and tar file. And if you're working on Windows, you will get the binary file. We don't need the source files. We need this binary file. So once you click on this, you will get a zip file. And once you get a zip file, you have to just extract it. We are not going to do any installation here. We are just need to do some small configuration. I'll tell you how to do configuration. So we need to download this zip file. So once you downloaded this zip file, I will just give the link also. Download zip file. If I open this link directly on the URL, so it will download the zip file. So once you downloaded this zip file, you have to extract that zip file. And once you extracted, you will get the folder like this. Let me show you like this. So you can see Apache Maven 3.8.6. I have a little older version, I guess. Let me check. Yeah, I think it's the same version, 3.8.6. Once you extracted that folder, you will see this folder. So what you need to do, copy this folder as it is in the C drive or somewhere else. Better to have in the C drive. Copy the as it is. You don't need to do any installation. So if you open the folder, you can see different files here. Bin, boot, conf, lib, and there are so many other files you can see here. Just download the zip file, extract it into the folder. Just copy that folder inside the C drive directly here. Okay. Yeah, you don't need to do any installation. You don't get any executable file or nothing. Just copy the folder. Now you need to set path. How to set a path? You can just open this folder and then go to the bin folder and then copy this location, because here this Maven command is there. So just copy this path, copy this, Control C, and then you need to set a path. If you are working on Windows, what you need to do is just go to My PC, right click on My PC. Okay, go to properties, and inside the properties, you can see something called environment variables, advanced system settings here, advanced system settings. And here you can see environment variables. And here in the bottom box, you can see here, there is a path variable. And there is a path variable, right? So you can just select this, click on edit. And here you have to copy that path. You can just click on the new and just paste it over here. That's it. So this is your Maven path configuration. And once you have added, then you can say okay and okay, and then okay, and close all the windows. So this is how we need to configure Maven on your operating system. Okay, so this process you have to do. I'll share another PDF document how to configure this Maven, Jenkins, and everything. So you can just go through that later. So once you have done this, now cross check whether Maven is properly configured or not. So for that, you open the command prompt or terminal. Here you have to execute this command mvn-version. If I run this command, this will give you the current version of your Maven, which is currently configured. So if you are getting this, that means your Maven is successfully configured on your operating system. So once you have this Maven, then you will able to run your test through the command prompt. Okay. Now let us try to run your test through command prompt. And make sure guys, you should also have Java. So you need to install Java also before starting Maven, because Maven works based on the Java itself. So it will internally use JDK. You can see here, runtime environment is this one. Currently I have JDK 10. So currently it is using JDK 10. Okay. So this is how we need to first install Maven on your operating system. And once it is done, so then we will able to run the project or run the pom.xml through the command prompt. Now, what I will do is let us try to run the project through command prompt. So let me just try to increase the font. Okay. So now how to run our project in the command prompt. So for this, first of all, we need to go to our project location. So how to get the project location? Right click properties. And this is your location of your project in your workspace. Okay, so this is a location. So now we need to go to this location, cd, and specify it. And now we are in the current project. So if I just type dir, you will see all the project related files, and even pom.xml is also part of your project. So now we need to run this pom.xml. So how to run the pom.xml? We have to use one command, mvn and test. The same command is available in the UI also. If I just right click here, mvn, I can just right click pom.xml, run. You can see these are all Maven related commands: Maven test, Maven install, Maven clean, because developers will use these commands as part of DevOps, because Maven is a build tool, not exactly testing tool, is a build tool, but we have certain number of features are available. So we are using Maven. So we can just, sometimes if you want to clean any junk data or junk files, you can use this command, Maven clean, and then you can run Maven test. But the main command to run your test is Maven test is the main command. Before that, you can also, if you want to clean up everything, you can just use Maven clean option. So I can execute both the command at once also. You can say mvn test, clean, test. So clean is one command, test is another command. Even if you don't say clean, no problem. Directly you can say mvn test. So this particular command will automatically fetch this pom.xml and it will run it. Now let me just run this command, mvn test. Press enter. And this will run your pom.xml file, and your test case will be executed through command prompt. Okay. So now it is getting failed some reason. So let's see why it is failing. Okay, so it is giving some error. Okay, iResult has been compiled by more recent version of Java runtime. Okay, Java class file version. This version of Java runtime only recognize class file versions up to 54. Okay, so this is a common error most of the times we will get. If Java version is not compatible, and then most of the times we will get this issue. Okay, so for that, what we can do is we can use one more option here along with the Maven test. So we can just add one more option here. So that will resolve the issue. So just a moment, let me find out that command, because normally it is Maven test is enough. So you don't need to add anything else. But if you face this kind of error, if there is an incompatible issue, then we need to add that also. Okay, just a moment. And if possible, just meanwhile, you can try this. Okay, so let's go to plugin section here. In the plugin, we will try to add some configuration. Uh, this is a Maven compiler plugin version, right? So 3.10.1. So inside this, we will add something after this version. We will also add some configuration. Okay, so inside this, I will add Java version as a source. And also we need to add target. I think 1.8 is very old. So let me just change this version. Yeah, guys, can you hear me? Okay. And whenever you do some changes in pom.xml, always try to update your project. Otherwise, those changes will not be reflected. Okay, so let's try to execute and see if there is an issue comes. We will check it again. Clear. Okay. It is starting our test, but it is giving some error. One second. Okay, so I'll just check it this later. So you need to just install Java also. I think Maven is not supporting here. In the pom.xml, we no need to update actually. The pom.xml, it is exactly the same. So we no need to modify anything. But because within your Eclipse, it is running fine. Pom.xml is executing fine because which is internally using Maven, which is comes along with Eclipse. But when you run this pom.xml only through command prompt, it is using the Maven which you have installed. And again, that Maven should be compatible with your Java version which you have installed. So then it will work fine. So, okay, I'll check it later. So in the next session tomorrow, what I will show you is we will see how we can run this project through command prompt. And then we will discuss about Git and then GitHub. Okay, so those two things we will cover in the tomorrow session. And we will continue tomorrow. This issue we will try to solve. And tomorrow I will address this. I will change all the configuration and we will see in the next session. Okay. So whatever so far we have tried, so just please try it and complete everything. And whatever framework so far we completed, right? So everything get ready with them, and tomorrow we'll discuss the rest of the things.